You already know Hitler and Stalin. This video starts elsewhere. Meet the names your textbooks whispered, then quickly changed subject. A Soviet executioner with a record nobody wants to beat. A queen in Madagascar who weaponized poison trials against rivals. A Paris socialite whose attic turned legends into police reports. An unidentified axeman who made New Orleans dance for safety. And a warlord called the Bulgar Slayer, for reasons you'll hear. If you stay, every minute unlocks another verified, hair-raising chapter. Ready to meet the 39 most terrifying people you missed. Vasily Blokhin, Stalin's executioner, with a chilling record. A record-setting executioner worked behind Moscow's prison walls, unseen. His name was Vasily Blokhin, Stalin's favored executioner personally. Around the 1930s and 1940s, he supervised methodical killings. Reports describe leather apron, cap, and a German pistol. He executed condemned prisoners in Lubyanka's basement, hour after hour. Katyn's Polish officers were reportedly among his grim assignments. Why the German pistol choice? To mislead investigators about origins. If numbers matter, some records claim hundreds in single nights. He died quietly, but his paperwork tells a louder story. Thug Bayram, India's strangler king of the Thuggee cult. British India feared a strangler whose numbers sound impossible today. They called him Thug Bayram, linked to Thuggee killings. 19th century investigators recorded confessions and chilling modus operandi details. The signature weapon was a rumal, a weighted scarf. Claims of hundreds murdered exist, though historians debate exact totals. Bayram reportedly marked victims' throats with a distinctive amulet. Colonial crackdowns targeted Thuggee networks moving along Indian roads. Curious twist, some cases mixed banditry, ritual, and police exaggeration. What survives today are court records, rumors, and enduring cautionary tales. Pedro Lopez, monster of the Andes with vanishing fate. Entire towns panicked as disappearances stacked across Andean countries. Pedro Lopez confessed to vast numbers, terrifying investigators and families. He was captured in Ecuador and convicted of multiple murders. Authorities linked him to cases in Colombia and Peru. Prison time ended, then reports suggested release under legal limits. Later sightings surfaced occasionally, but nothing conclusive ever stuck. How many victims truly? Estimates varied wildly, challenging clear answers. Interpol notices and interviews kept the myth alive for years. The scariest part remains uncertainty, lingering over borders and decades. Luis Garavito, La Bestia, who hunted across Colombia. Colombia reeled as investigators mapped disappearances along highways and towns. Luis Garavito, nicknamed La Bestia, confessed to staggering totals. He targeted vulnerable boys, using lures, disguises, and transients. Police traced patterns through receipts, maps, and discarded clothing. Courts issued sentences far exceeding human lifespans, then adjusted. He later was reported dead in custody, ending speculation. Communities still hold memorials, remembering names beyond grim numbers. If statistics blur compassion, families refocus it with photographs. This story warns that paperwork sometimes hides very human absence. Javed Iqbal, killer who claimed 100 murders. Pakistan watched a confession shake cities and police leadership. Javed Iqbal turned himself in, recounting killings and motives. He targeted street children, tracking victims through Lahore's neighborhoods. Courts sentenced him with an unusually symbolic eye-for-eye wording. Before it happened, officials reported he died inside prison. Evidence chains and missing persons cases complicated full verification afterward. Newspapers argued details, but investigators preserved key confession materials. Families demanded answers, pushing reforms around registration and shelters. If justice feels symbolic, prevention must feel painfully practical. Béla Kiss, the vanishing Hungarian with sealed barrels. A landlord vanished, and police opened barrels near Budapest. Inside were preserved bodies, linked to Lonely Hearts advertisements. Béla Kiss had rented rooms, stored drums, then disappeared. World War upheaval masked his movements across Europe's borders. Sightings followed for years, including rumors of foreign service. Police tracked patterns of letters, photos, and aliases carefully. Why sealed barrels? They slowed discovery and controlled odors. No confirmed capture ever came, leaving investigators eternally frustrated. Sometimes the scariest villain is simply the one missing. Amelia Dyer, Victorian baby farmer who exploited desperation. Victorian Britain learned desperation can be hunted like currency. Amelia Dyer offered childcare, then authorities uncovered deadly neglect. She placed ads, gathered infants, and moved town to town. A package in the Thames exposed names and addresses. Detectives traced handwriting and railway tickets to Dyer's rooms. Witnesses described suffocation methods. Courts described deliberate fraud repeatedly. Her trial drew crowds, fascinated and horrified in equal measure. Today, her case anchors conversations about regulation and safeguarding. Behind headlines were mothers, poverty, and very few options. Delphine Lalaurie, New Orleans socialite with a horrifying attic. A fire revealed cruelty hidden inside a fashionable New Orleans townhouse. Madame Delphine Lalaurie entertained elites before the blaze exposed horrors. Neighbors heard screams. Rescuers forced doors on Royal Street. Enslaved people were found bound and abused, shocking the city. Lalaurie fled New Orleans, reportedly escaping to Paris afterward. Her townhouse became a legend, a magnet for ghost stories. The truth needs no ghosts. Records already document brutality. Why did neighbors stay silent? Status, fear, and complicity. Sometimes high society simply means cruelty wore better clothes. Aga Muhammad Khan Qajar, eunuch Shah who ruled by fear. Persia's throne changed hands, and terror kept provinces obedient. Aga Muhammad Khan Qajar united rivals, founding Iran's Qajar dynasty. He punished defiance harshly, from Shirvan to Kerman and Georgia. Tbilisi's fall sent shockwaves through Caucasian courts and marketplaces. Enemies remembered a ruler precise, cold, and relentlessly patient. His castration as a youth shaped palace politics and survival. He centralized power, demanding tribute and hostages from nobles. Assassins killed him later, ending his tightly wound reign. The dynasty survived, but fear had already stitched borders. Zhang, warlord accused of emptying a province disputed. Sichuan counts dropped dramatically, and legends blamed one rebel. Zhang seized Chengdu during late Ming chaos and famine. His regime printed proclamations, including notorious lines about killing. Archaeology, records, and refugees describe devastation across river valleys, but scholars debate totals, disease, flight, and competing armies. Steely inscriptions may be later fabrications, historians cautiously note. Still, his name became shorthand for rule by terror. Curious question: catastrophe or propaganda? The answer remains mixed. Either way, survivors rebuilt Sichuan from silence and ash. Nadir Shah, conqueror who sacked Delhi and stunned empires. Delhi woke to plunder that echoed beyond the subcontinent. Nadir Shah marched from Iran, defeating armies across the Punjab. Inside Delhi, disorder sparked massacres and a staggering treasure seizure. The Peacock Throne and famous gems reportedly changed owners quickly. He left swiftly, but Mughal prestige never fully recovered. Neighbors recalculated alliances, fearing another lightning campaign westward. Why such speed? Logistics, discipline, and brutal deterrence worked. Accounts vary on totals, but shock spread universally and fast. The raid's aftershocks shaped politics from Kabul to coastal courts. Ranavalona I, Madagascar's Iron Queen of isolation and fear. Madagascar turned inward, and outsiders learned to keep distance. Queen Ranavalona I tightened control over trade, faith, and movement. The Tangena ordeal tested loyalty with poison, terrifying commoners nationwide. Missionaries faced expulsion. European merchants watched deals evaporate. Forced labor, Fanampuana, expanded royal projects around Antananarivo. Her long reign stabilized borders, yet bled the countryside deeply. Why the Iron Fist? Palace coups and rival clans loomed. After her death, reforms reopened ports and cautiously welcomed foreigners. Even today, her name divides admiration, fear, and debate. Basil II Bulgar Slayer, emperor with a chilling nickname. Byzantium gained decades of stability after a brutal campaign. Basil II battled Bulgaria, grinding through fortresses and mountains. The victory at Kleidion broke resistance and crowned his reputation. Chroniclers claimed mass blinding of captives, a debated detail. The defeated returned home, reportedly led by a sighted soldier. Diplomacy followed conquest, annexing lands and securing tributary arrangements. Why the nickname stuck? Fear remembers faster than footnotes. His reign stretched long, outliving many immediate enemies nearby. The empire banked calm years earned through cold calculation. Karl Panzram, confessed outlaw who wanted the world to burn. An American prison diary turned one inmate into a warning. Karl Panzram bragged about violence, theft, and relentless hate. He sailed ships, crossed borders, and escaped custody repeatedly. A young guard, Henry Lesser, preserved Panzram's handwritten confessions. Courts sentenced him, and he welcomed the rope openly. His stories mix verifiable crimes with likely exaggerations and boasts. Why do people read them? To map monstrous thinking. The map is ugly, but it clarifies prevention strategies. In the end, bravado died. Consequences kept speaking afterward. Fritz Haarmann, the Butcher of Hanover, hunted in plain sight. Hanover residents feared knights, then feared their friendly informant. Fritz Haarmann worked with police while stalking vulnerable youths. Victims disappeared near stations. Rumors about meat markets spread. Investigators finally searched rooms and found incriminating clothing. He confessed broadly, though exact counts remain contested today. A guillotine ended his case, but questions outlived him. How did he hide? Charm, familiarity, and compartmentalized trust. Afterward, policing changed procedures around informants and oversight. Sometimes the wolf volunteers to guard the city gates. Mary Ann Cotton, Britain's prolific Victorian poisoner. Funerals kept coming, and neighbors finally connected the pattern. Mary Ann Cotton moved towns, remarried, and filed insurance claims. Arsenic poisoning explained lingering illnesses once considered ordinary misfortune. Doctors and journalists reopened graves, testing stomach contents carefully. A nursery rhyme later kept her name unsettlingly familiar. In court, witnesses traced purchases of poison and wallpaper. Arsenic hid everywhere then, including dyes and household goods. Her hanging closed one chapter, but copycats still appeared. Lesson remembered. Patterns speak when tragedies seem isolated accidents. Henri Désiré Landru, France's real-life Bluebeard of Paris. Paris whispered about a gentleman who never returned fiancés. Henri Désiré Landru courted widows through wartime personal advertisements. He met them, obtained funds, and rented suburban houses. Police found ledgers, names, and fragments in a stove. Courts lacked bodies, but the paperwork proved intent. He defended himself sharply. Then the verdict arrived. Crowds packed galleries, drawn by mystery more than gore. Why Bluebeard stuck? fairy tale shorthand for calculated charm. He lost his head, the notebooks kept telling investigators. Belle Gunness, farm widow rumored to bury suitors. Disputed. A farmhouse fire uncovered rumors that still refuse silence. Belle Gunness invited suitors with letters promising land shares. Neighbors reported disappearances, but records remained frustratingly incomplete. After the fire, a headless body muddied identification debates. Searchers found bones, jewelry, and charred household remains. She became folklore, somewhere between legend and credible suspicion. Was she killed, or did she stage a disappearance? Investigators chased leads nationwide without decisive proof emerging. Sometimes, fire burns evidence faster than truth can gather. The Axeman of New Orleans, jazz-taunting killer, unidentified. New Orleans danced, then shuttered doors when an Axeman wrote. Letters demanded jazz playing, promising safety for music lovers. Attacks hit Italian grocers and households across 1918 and 1918. He used victims' own axes, slipping through night streets. Police chased suspects, yet evidence kept dissolving in crowds. Newspapers amplified fear, while musicians cheekily filled dance halls. Why the notes? Maybe theater, maybe misdirection, maybe opportunists. The killings stopped, and identity never conclusively surfaced. The city kept the rhythm. The shadows kept tempo. The Zodiac Killer, cipher-wielding phantom who taunted police, unidentified. California's newspapers received letters, and the public decoded terror. The Zodiac claimed murders, mailed ciphers, and mocked investigators openly. Attacks struck around the Bay Area, from Vallejo to San Francisco. Amateur teams solved parts. One cipher resisted for decades. A composite sketch spread, but no courtroom verdict followed. Suspects came and went, each leaving disputes and questions. Movies and books kept theories alive, sometimes overshadowing victims. If puzzles lure you, remember real families waited answers. The trail remains cold, but curiosity never fully freezes. Comrade Duke, Tool Slang Prison Chief of Systemic Terror. Thousands entered S-21 in Phnom Penh and almost none left. Comrade Duke, born Kayingwek Eve, ran the facility. His staff photographed prisoners and extracted confessions under torture. Meticulous archives cataloged names, creating today's undeniable record. After regime collapse, Duke disappeared, then re-emerged using aliases. Tribunals later convicted him, establishing accountability for Khmer Rouge. Why catalog everything? Bureaucracy believes paperwork controls human reality. The paperwork testified even louder than surviving witnesses sometimes could. Tool slang stands today, a museum and a warning. Shoko Asahara, cult leader behind Tokyo subway sarin attack. Morning commuters collapsed in Tokyo, victims of nerve agent vapors. Shoko Asahara's group, Om Shinrikyo, released sarin on trains. Hospitals overflowed, while investigators raided compounds and laboratories. The cult mixed apocalyptic prophecies with science fiction ambitions. Engineers inside built devices, weaponizing chemistry and fanatical obedience. Arrests followed swiftly, capturing leaders and dismantling the network. Trials stretched years, cataloging experiments and plots far beyond. Japan strengthened preparedness, training hospitals and transit crews nationwide. If belief meets labs, safeguards must not lag behind. Shiro Ishii, Unit 731, Commander over Human Experimentation. In occupied Manchuria, a secret complex ran lethal experiments. General Shiro Ishii commanded Unit 731, targeting prisoners and civilians. Researchers tested pathogens, frostbite, and bomb dispersal on captives. Local villages reported outbreaks. Military logs confirmed unusual activity. After surrender, reports claim some leaders received immunity for data. Victims' names often vanished, but scars remained across families. Why study cruelty? To prevent repeats and honor forgotten identities. Museums and memorials now document the program with witnesses. Silence once hid it. Testimony finally found oxygen. Lavrentiy Beria, Stalin's night raids mastermind of the NKVD. Knocks after midnight meant cars, basements, and interrogations ahead. Lavrentiy Beria rose to lead Stalin's feared secret police. He oversaw purges, deportations, and vast networks of informants. Files tracked whispers, engineering paranoia into a governing tool. After Stalin's death, rivals arrested Beria during a meeting. A secret trial ended quickly, and execution followed swiftly. The bureaucracies survived, proving systems outlast individual operators. Citizens learned codes like lights off, meaning unexpected searches. Power feared noise. Ordinary people feared a sudden knock. Jean-Bédel Bokassa, self-crowned emperor who ruled through fear. Central Africans watched a president transform himself into an emperor. Jean-Bédel Bokassa staged a lavish coronation modeled on Napoleon. The price tag stunned a nation struggling with basic needs. Opposition, students, and rivals faced arrests and violent crackdowns. French forces eventually backed a coup that removed Bokassa. Trials later revisited abuses, assets, and foreign entanglements. Why the emperor costume? Image can anesthetize conscience and critics. His rule entered folklore, part cautionary tale, part spectacle. When the crown fell, bills remained for ordinary families. Mengistu Haile Mariam, Ethiopia's Red Terror strongman. Ethiopia's streets filled with fear during campaigns against dissent. Mengistu Haile Mariam led the Derg, consolidating revolutionary power. Executions, confiscations, and mass resettlements reshaped everyday life drastically. War with insurgents drained resources and hardened political positions. After years, Mengistu left for exile under protective hosts. Courts later convicted him in absentia for abuses. Ordinary Ethiopians still balance memories of fear and resilience. If revolution promises justice, ask who defines justice today. Institutions matter most when leaders become larger than laws. Enver Hoxha, secretive dictator who sealed Albania from the world. Albania built bunkers, while neighbors opened borders to travelers. Enver Hoxha distrusted allies, severing ties repeatedly over ideology. The country embraced autarky, isolating industry and culture. Security services monitored speech, churches, and family conversations carefully. Economic shortages shaped childhoods. Bunkers shaped every horizon. Succession left institutions brittle and reliant on surveillance. Why so many bunkers? Fear of invasion from everyone. When borders reopened, Albanians discovered delayed technology and opportunity. Isolation preserved sovereignty, but it boxed imagination for generations. Roman von Ungern-Sternberg, Mad Baron of Mongolia's brutal reign. Urga changed hands, and civilians learned to hide fast. Baron Roman von Ungern-Sternberg drove out Chinese garrisons. He styled himself mystical, mixing monarchism with violent purges. Refugees recalled random executions and confiscations across streets. Bolshevik forces counterattacked, tracking him across the steppe. Captured alive, he faced trial and swift execution nearby. Legends later painted visions of prophecy and madness combined. Historians see opportunism exploiting civil war's chaotic spaces. Either way, Urga remembered, then renamed itself Ulaanbaatar. Matthew Hopkins, England's fearsome witchfinder general. Villages emptied purses for a man chasing imagined witches. Matthew Hopkins toured East Anglia during the English Civil War. He charged fees, interrogated suspects, and staged examinations. Techniques included sleep deprivation and the controversial swimming test. Dozens died after trials. Then skepticism finally gathered momentum. Pamphlets later criticized his methods and self-appointed title. Why now? War anxiety, crop failures, and local feuds. Hopkins died young, and the panic gradually subsided. When fear pays wages, skepticism becomes urgent household work. George Jeffreys, judge of England's notorious bloody assizes. Rebellion ended, and retribution swept courtrooms across England. Judge George Jeffreys presided after the Monmouth Rebellion failed. The bloody assizes ordered executions, transportations, and public lashings. He became infamous for severity, sarcasm, and relentless pace. Political terror met legal procedure, blurring justice and intimidation. After regime change, Jeffreys was arrested and imprisoned. He died in the Tower, awaiting uncertain proceedings later. His name still headlines textbooks for courtroom cruelty lessons. Trials can punish rebellion or spotlight politics wearing robes. Reinhard Heydrich, butcher of Prague, mastermind of Nazi occupation terror. Czechoslovakia witnessed both oppression and one extraordinary resistance mission. Reinhard Heydrich ruled Bohemia harshly from Prague's Hradčany Castle. Czechoslovak agents parachuted from Britain to assassinate him successfully. He later died from wounds after a grenade and ambush. Nazi reprisals destroyed Lidice, killing civilians and erasing the village. Why target Heydrich? He organized massacres and coordinated deportations. Operation Anthropoid proved occupied nations could strike commanders. The cost was terrible, but morale rose across Europe. Statues and memorials now mark the mission's daring legacy. Heinrich Himmler, SS architect of a nationwide police state. Germany built a surveillance machine that reached into neighborhoods. Heinrich Himmler unified police forces under SS and Party. Concentration camps expanded, tracking prisoners with numbered systems. He promoted pseudoscience, mythology, and strict ideological training. Late in the war, he tried secret negotiations, unsuccessfully. Captured by allies, he died before a public trial. Bureaucratic evil avoids shouting. It files, stamps, and whispers. Neighbors learned that silence could be mistaken for loyalty. When fear organizes, paperwork becomes a weaponized habit. King Leopold II, Congo Free State's ruthless exploiter. Millions suffered under a private colony disguised as philanthropy. Belgium's King Leopold II controlled the Congo Free State personally. Rubber quotas drove forced labor, hostages, and violent punishments. International activists publicized abuses, forcing a transfer to Belgium. Reports varied in numbers, but patterns remained unmistakable. Mission stations documented injuries, famine, and abandoned villages. Why philanthropy rhetoric? It opened wallets and closed scrutiny. The scandal reshaped international law and colonial oversight debates. Congo remembers. Statues and names still spark heated reevaluations. Tamerlane, Timur, conqueror who built pyramids of skulls. Cities surrendered quickly after learning his reputation for terror. Timur campaigned from Persia to India and Anatolia relentlessly. Chroniclers described towers of skulls after rebellious sieges. Samarkand blossomed with artisans relocated from conquered regions. Diplomats feared him, yet negotiated safe passages for caravans. After his death, the empire fractured among competing heirs. Why the spectacle? Terror shortens sieges and stretches reputations. His mausoleum, Gur-e-Amir, still anchors Samarkand's memory. Power built on fear travels fast, but rarely lasts. Shaka Zulu, warrior king who forged an empire with fear. Southern Africa reorganized tactics after one leader reshaped warfare. Shaka Zulu trained regiments, drilling speed, discipline, and formation. He introduced short stabbing spears and close-quarters dominance. The bullhorn formation enveloped opponents with synchronized movements. Alliances shifted. Neighboring chiefs fled, submitted, or fought. Ceremonies enforced loyalty, and messengers carried swift orders. His assassination ended a reign, but tactics outlived him. Myths exaggerate details. Reforms themselves remain historically clear. Drums faded, yet drill books remembered his battlefield grammar. Genghis Khan, conqueror whose armies erased cities and tribes. Eurasia's map stretched farther than anyone thought possible. Genghis Khan united Mongol tribes and unleashed mobile warfare. Horse archers struck swiftly, then vanished beyond reachable retaliation. Siege engineers learned quickly, adopting foreign experts and tools. Cities resisting harshly often faced annihilation or mass deportation. The Yam courier network sped orders across incredible distances. Why such dominance? Flexibility, intelligence gathering, and uncompromising discipline. After his death, descendants expanded further, then fragmented gradually. Legends grew. Historians separate tactics from dramatic campfire stories. Ivan the Terrible, Tsar who ruled through paranoia and fear. Russia's throne turned suspicious, and entire towns felt it. Ivan IV created the Oprichnina, a state within Russia. Black-clad riders enforced decrees, punishing perceived treason quickly. Novgorod suffered a crackdown remembered in chronicles and laments. Ivan's rage reportedly killed his heir during an argument. Foreign wars drained resources, while courts navigated volatile moods. Why the terror? Palace intrigue and trauma haunted decisions. After his death, Russia entered a turbulent succession crisis. The Tsar left memories that outlived fortresses and crowns. Joseph Stalin, architect of purges, famines, and a police state. Soviet citizens learned whispers could decide life or exile. Joseph Stalin centralized power through purges, show trials, and propaganda. Collectivization policies triggered famine across Ukraine and beyond. The Gulag Archipelago imprisoned millions for labor and punishment. Security services tracked dissent, building dossiers on loyal citizens. During war, the state moved industries and absorbed losses. Post-war, paranoia persisted, reshaping science, culture, and borders. Why did fear work? Because systems multiplied individual ruthlessness. Monuments changed. Archives slowly opened. Memories still argued. Adolf Hitler, dictator who industrialized atrocity and global war. Europe descended into war after a radical movement seized power. Adolf Hitler built a regime using spectacle, censorship, and terror. Neighboring countries fell as blitzkrieg overwhelmed defenses quickly. Genocidal policies targeted Jews and others across occupied territories. Resistance movements emerged, sabotaging factories and gathering intelligence. Allied forces turned tides with industry, code-breaking, and alliances. Facing defeat, leaders retreated to bunkers beneath Berlin. The regime collapsed. Survivors rebuilt amid ruins and trials. History still asks how fear seduced a modern nation.